Descent of the Demon God. By Hanjo Wiolia. Chapter 114. Shadow Assassin. Part 1. 27 years ago. When Chen Wu-jin was imprisoned in a secret prison, his Danton was destroyed. As one of the 5 great warriors, he thought that he could restore his martial arts at a later time, but that didn't happen. They had even blocked the flow of energy into his blood. Restore my martial arts? He had already given up on such a dream. Arriving at the Yongchun Group headquarters, he tried to restore his Danton by using a cultivation method, but that didn't work. It had been so long since his Danton was destroyed that recovering it seemed impossible. I thought I accepted my fate. Chen Wu-jin's eyes tinged with hope as he sat cross-legged. The place where he was sitting was the training room of the chairman of the Yongchun Group. His heart trembled. Can I do martial arts again? Murim warriors would achieve the greatest happiness and satisfaction when they gained a sense of accomplishment. And their most desperate time would be when they lose their swords. As soon as he felt hope, which could be called the root of martial arts, his eyes lit up. You must be ready. Chen Yuan approached him. Chen Wu-jin gulped and answered. Yes. Although he had the face of a 76-year-old man, his heart was beating like a teenager. Seeing that, Chen Yuan smiled. It was because he could empathize with his feelings. I hope I succeed. It was Chen Yuan's first time restoring someone's lost Danton. This was something he had realized after reaching Heavenly Master level, but there was one person he wanted to rush to and heal their Danton. Escort Zhang. The man who took care of Chen Yuan since he was young. Chen Yuan always felt bad for Escort Zhang, who lost his Danton as he fell into the trap of another clan, a rival clan seeking power. It is possible now. Chen Yuan put his palm on the old man's Danton. Chen Yuan spoke to him, who was nervous. It will be very painful. I am used to pain. Hoo. Chen Wu-jin responded with a huge smile. He had never stayed still in the prison. Yet, he was a man of patience. Then I am glad. Whoa. As soon as he said that, Chen Yuan drew energy from the nature around him. Chen Wu-jin, who lost his skills, couldn't feel a single thing, but... What is this? The surrounding energy is rapidly increasing. In the present era, the energy of nature has remarkably faded. Due to that, Murim warriors had to gather devices able to provide them with energy. However, clear energy was gathering in the training room. Use me as a medium. The energy of nature, condensed into Chen Yuan's body. At the same time, the energy which was in Chen Yuan, soon moved to the palm on Chen Wu-jin's Danton. Ek! An exclamation left Chen Wu-jin's mouth. The energy he felt after a long time was now filling his Danton. What was even more surprising was that this energy was so pure that it couldn't be compared to the devices they had. It will be hard to endure from now. It is fine. Good. A red light began to shine from Chen Yuan's palm. Nanoscan function controlled the energy of nature while seeing the condition inside the body. The place where the Danton had been completely shattered is stiff. It's been so long since he was hit. This wasn't a problem that couldn't be recovered by a nano. Chen Yuan concentrated the energy of nature in that spot. Whoa! Then, the energy of nature fathered in the center of Danton. In doing so, the stiff things were destroyed. Ack! A groan erupted from Chen Wu-jin's mouth. It was as if the pain of destroying the Danton was being relayed. And this was just the beginning. When Chen Yuan waved his hand, the energy of nature gathered around him and turned into a small sphere. I will break through the blocked vessels. Shoo! When Chen Yuan moved his hand, a small energy sphere condensed into his body. Great pain took over him. Quack! Chen Wu-jin clenched his teeth. Even though it was painful enough to turn him pale, he persevered. He is pretty stubborn. Chen Yuan thought that the man wouldn't be able to stand it, but he was shocked. It certainly made no sense, considering his age. Father. Chen Yuzhang looked through the window of the training room in sweat. It was about an hour after it started. This much should be enough. Chen Wujin's body adapted to the energy. And the Danton, created by the energy of nature, was done. Chen Yuan pulled out a small bottle from his pocket. Blood of Qilin. What was inside the bottle was a few drops of the blood of Qilin. Once Man Ranyang had recovered, Chen Yuan had taken back the bottle. Because he knew how crucial even a single drop of that blood was. Haha, sigh. Chen Yuan looked at Chen Wujin, who was sighing while drenched in sweat. He opened his mouth and poured 3 drops in. Gulp and cultivate it. From now on, you need to handle it. Since the vessels were opened, the energy couldn't be blocked anymore. And he could recover his Danton if he could cultivate the energy he received from the blood of Qilin. There was only one thing Chen Yuan could do now. It was to control the flame generated by the Qilin with his ice chi. Quack. It was only 3 drops, but heat still surged from Chen Wujin's body. Because his internal energy was close to non-existence, he wouldn't be able to handle the 3 drops by himself. The entire room began to freeze. Even the windows were fogged. Due to that, Chen Yuzhang, who was watching from outside, had no choice but to turn impatient. And 2 more hours passed. JJKK. The door to the training room opened. From there, Chen Yuan appeared, his whole body covered in ice. Chen Yuzhang, who hadn't moved a single step, asked. Ancestor. How did it go? Look by yourself. Huh? At that moment, someone walked out from inside the training room, with steam exuding from his body. Chen Yuzhang, who saw that, turned teary-eyed. No. No way. He never dreamed that he could see this again. Just 3 hours ago, his father was nothing but a fragile old man in his 70s, and now, he was back to the way he was before the arrest. From the outside, he looked like a middle-aged man in his 40s. Fa father. Looking at the flowing energy, Chen Yuzhang could tell that the Danton was recovered. Chen Wujin was also unable to hide his joy. A wide smile was drawn on his face. Ancestor. Chen Wujin knelt down in front of Chen Yuan. He never thought that he could recover his Danton and do martial arts again, but he didn't just recover the Danton, but his body was back to its peak again. He could feel it from the firmer skin. I don't know how to repay this favor, Chen Yuan said to him. If you want to repay the favor, you need to restore the prestige of the cult after fully recovering. He recovered his Danton, and his body was back to normal. But he still had to get used to the new body. Chen Yuan had forcibly returned the body into a prior state with the help of the energy of nature, but the muscles were still in a degenerated state, which now required training. Banging the head on the floor, Chen Wujin said, I will recover as soon as possible and correct everything. This was something that would be solved with hard work and time. Chen Yuzhang was at a loss of words at his father's confident words. To restore him back to his state 27 years ago, is this what the second generation Chen Ma truly means? He couldn't help but be amazed at the endless abilities of Chen Yuan. He wondered if anything was impossible for him. Chen Yuan asked Chen Yuzhang. Is it done? The core refining machine? The installation was delayed as it took several days to retrieve the trucks, which were on the way to the Murim Association. But now they could use it. Was it in the Sector 4 factory? Yes. Right. Let's go. I need to take a look. Huh? Ancestor. You must be exhausted after everything you did today, shouldn't you rest? Chen Yuzhang, who was outside the training room, felt how huge of an energy was flowing inside. It was too much, and he knew that such energy won't replenish right away. Chen Wujin also agreed. Yuzhang is right. If it isn't urgent, it is better to no need. Chen Youwen immediately refused. He understood their worries, but Chen Youwen didn't really use his energy. All he did was act as a medium for the energy from nature. He was mentally exhausted. That was all. Not knowing that, Chen Wujin and Chen Yuzhang felt bad. One of the office buildings of Yongchun Group. There was a hidden prison in the basement. In the prison was an exotic handsome man with long brown hair and a pointed nose and a chair with a dissatisfied face. He was the demon Dao, who was defeated by Chen Youwen. TCH. How many times had he fainted in his life? After completing Chen Youwen's order, he was able to get the heart sword embedded inside the core once he arrived here. As he was through so much for a long time, he felt stunned the entire day. This is a prison? HH. Right. It was Chen Youwen's second secretary Shakina, who grunted out outside the prison cell. Upon waking up, she sensed that he had awakened his energy and came to the place. And feeling that this was absurd, Dao said. I surrendered. Why am I inside here and you out? I don't know. Master told me to lock you up till you wake up. Dao clicked his tongue at Shakina's bright words. TCH, the Heart Hunter's reputation seemed to have run out, working for humans. Their clan considered humans worms. An insect that moved and died. To surrender to such a being and swear allegiance to it. Master is different from other humans. You must have experienced it too. Dao sighed in relief at Shakina's words. Clearly this person was different. Is he really human? The clan has been sending people to this planet for a long time, but this is the first time I've seen such strength. You say that when you only lived for 400 years. Their average lifespan was not the same as humans. With a body structure that increases life as they get stronger, the number of years they can live is over 1,000 if they were above Marquis. 400 is long enough. You haven't been here for long so you don't know, but humans live less than 100. Looking at his face, he is less than 1/5 of that. I don't understand it. Really? I heard from a human called B.I. Makian that he lived for over 1,000 years. What? 1,000 years? Is he really human? Dao couldn't believe the word 1,000 years. It was a misunderstanding on Shakina's side, but Dao was convinced. Well, if he is that strong, living for 1,000 years makes sense. He wouldn't lose to me, who has been here for just 20 years. Shakina asked him as he was thinking. By the way, what happened to you? Did you find the traitor? Dao, who hesitated for a moment, nodded his head. Not understanding what he meant, Shakina asked. And you are fine? It was definite that if they met the traitor, they would have a desperate fight. One side would be able to run away, and the other would aim for the throat of their king. But Dao only frowned. Smiling, Shakina said. You lost. The proud Dao had no reason to stay silent. And she continued. You were defeated but survived because the traitor gave you the chance. From the standpoint of a traitor who preyed on his own people, there was no reason to keep Dao alive. Unless he surrendered and swore allegiance. Yes, you swore to surrender to humans. But it isn't breaking the clan's law. The predation of their kind was a taboo. Killing was fine, but only under the command of their king. However, Dao violated it and surrendered to a traitor. What a shame. I don't think you deserve the count title. Don't talk like that. If you saw him 4 years back, you would have changed your mind. Him? Shakina's eyes narrowed at that. Deo spoke as if he didn't care. Right. He is no longer in a position to be called a traitor. What was that now? Not on a level to be called a traitor? He has grown so strong that he no longer needs to form his own clan. What? What do you think is the reason for him to keep me, a count, alive? It was then. Puck. Quack. A black shadow pierced its hand into Deo's chest. In his head was the core, which could be called the heart of Deo. This. Deo was startled at it. From the shadow behind him, an exotic-looking man with a face full of scars and a bulging body was there. Kyle. Deo recognized him and called his name. At that, Kyle said, "He told me to bring you in, but you are leaking information to the bugs." You. Shekinah, who recognized Kyle's presence, called out to him in a voice mixed with anger, and faced herself to enter the prison. At that moment, Kyle's body went back into the shadows. Swoosh! Shekinah looked around with narrowed eyes. She tried to sense the demonic energy again, but she couldn't feel a thing. And Deo, who was running out of time, said to her, No use. Run away. What are you saying? Unlike me, the ones below him are strong. Thud. Deo's neck went limp. Yeah. Wake up. If you die, I will be scolded by Master. Swash. At that moment, a black shadow created sharp thorns on the prison floor, trying to kill her. It happened in a fraction of a second, but Shekinah phased it. Whoa! In that state, she reached to the floor. Purple energy began to rise around her in the form of spheres and crashed to the floor. Quack quack quang. Numerous holes were drilled into the floor, and the lower floor was visible. However, the one who attacked her wasn't seen. Where the hell is he? Shekinah was now serious. She knew the demon called Kyle. As a Count-class demon, he was far lower than her rank, and in the past, he wasn't so good at hiding his energy either, so his presence was always revealed. I don't feel any energy. But now, she couldn't feel it. Even when he appeared from the shadow, she only knew it after he made a sound. Shekinah yelled. Where are you? Kyle. Don't hide and come out to fight. Her cry echoed in the building. But Kyle didn't show up. Shekinah continued to move around, trying to find any trail. It was then. Swash. At the sound ringing in her ears, Shekinah used phasing. Suddenly, a black shadow passed through her chest. A little late, and it would have caught her. You bastard. Annoyed, Shekinah clicked her tongue. In that brief moment, Kyle's shadow seeped back into the shadows again. Annoying. The fight was troublesome because his ability was more perfect than before. And Kyle's gloomy voice could be heard by Shekinah. With the powers we both have, this fight will keep going on. Give up. Heart Hunter. There you are. Shekinah fired an energy sphere at the location of the sound. Swash. Bang. The sphere broke the wall. You bastard. Kyle's voice came out from another direction. I will give you a chance as you are a member of the same clan. What? If you surrender and kill the human called Chun Musong with me, I will give you the honor of working for him. Shekinah yelled out as if the offer was absurd. Fuck that shit. You think you can go against my master? Shoo. Then, Kyle's head was out from the ceiling. With a laugh, he said. Quack, a human is your master? The Heart Hunter is a mere pet for a human. Ha ha ha. Humans can be killed at any time. Even before he was done. What are you, and what are you doing here? Kyle frowned at the voice, which came from elsewhere. Unlike him, Shekinah smiled and called. Master. Master? the moment Kyle wondered. Bang! A hand pierced the ceiling and grabbed his head. Ugh! Kyle, whose head was caught, tried to seep back into the shadows, but the unbelievable energy around him suppressed him, and his body was dragged out. Quakwang. Quiet. Chapter 115. Shadow Assassin. Part 2. Quack. Kyle was dragged up as he bumped into some ceiling fragments. He looked at the young man with a fair face and sharp eyes who grabbed his head. This one? It was Chen Yuan that he saw on the TV screen. Kyle didn't expect this man to be found so quickly. This wasn't how things were supposed to go. The headquarters area of the Yongchen group was huge and had spacious buildings, so he didn't think that anyone would be able to notice a battle. Chen Yuan's energy was so great that it covered the whole Yongchen group area. You sneaked in like a rat. He did say that, but Chen Yuan's intentions were different. The response was faster than I thought. He knew that the enemies would try to deal with him, but he didn't expect them to do so right away. Holding Kyle's head, he asked. You are a demon too? A scarred face, but an exotic appearance. A unique energy utterly different from internal energy. Does he know how to hide his energy? If he wasn't right next to him, feeling the energy would have been hard. Meanwhile, Kyle said. You seem to be aware of our existence, Chen Musong. He knew Chen Yuan by his pseudonym. And no matter how much he heard it, Chen Yuan couldn't get used to it. I came to look for you, but you came by yourself. Shoo! Kyle, who was being held by his head, kicked Chen Yuan's neck. Chen Yuan raised his hand to block it. Pack! It was a light kick, but the power it held was beyond normal. Quang! It was so strong that the force from the kick extended to the other side, and the wall of the building was ripped open. It was evening, so it was dark outside. He stopped the kick? Kyle's eyes shuddered. His goal was to kill Chen Yuan, so he kicked him with all his might. You are a little stronger than Shekinah. That was Chen Yuan's evaluation. He was better than Shekinah, who ate the hearts of Murims. The fact that his kick was this strong meant he ate a lot more than Shekinah. And that's about it. Who? Feeling enraged at being compared with Shekinah, Kyle stretched out his left hand. How long are you planning on holding my head? Cheeky humans. His hands were now dyed in black and had the shape of a sharp weapon. They aimed at Chen Yuan's chest. Grab! Chen Yuan caught the hand. But Kyle's lips twitched. Caught you. Swash! At that moment, the shadow hand trembled like a liquid and then covered Chen Yuan's left arm till the elbow. No matter how strong you are still a human. The shadow moved around, trying to constrain Chen Yuan's movements. This was different from physical restraint. Since the hand was already touched by the shadow, it was now in the shadow realm. Swash! Chen Yuan moved his hand, but it felt like something was sucking it back. He tried to use his full energy, but the part covered in shadow didn't move. In the meantime, the shadow kept creeping a little further. Useless. Unless you are in the shadow realm, it is impossible to get out of the shadows. Get this shitty hand away from me. Kyle pretended to grab something. At his gesture, the shadows from the walls changed into thorns and rushed for Chen Yuan. Swash! Chen Yuan brought out a curtain of energy to block it, but the shadow passed through the barrier. Swoosh! Did you think you could stop the shadows like that? Die now. Kyle seemed elated. Really? Then I guess there is nothing to do. What? Chen Yuan gave strength into the hand holding Kyle's head. Clench. His fingers dug into Kyle's head. Ack. Kyle, who was suffering from tremendous pain, groaned out loud, yet the shadow thorns didn't stop. Going ahead even if it means sacrificing yourself? As the opponent seemed to be stronger than expected, Chen Yuan's punishment turned more gruesome. Crack! Kyle's head was smashed. Black smoke flowed from the head, bloodless. He tried to keep him alive to get information, but since things took an unexpected route, he had to kill the demon. Thud! Kyle's body fell to the ground. In the gap, something purple and opaque was grabbed by Chen Yuan. It was a round core. Master, Count Dao's core is safe. Thud. 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 To her surprise, the core in his hand was beating. Our clan can survive as long as the core isn't destroyed. Shakina explained to Chen Yuan, who was puzzled. He thought that he lost all means to get information, but thanks to her, it seemed like Dao could be saved. However, something was weird. If the core isn't destroyed, then they live? That feeling was right. Swoosh! The shadows on his hand hadn't disappeared yet. Rather, they were still climbing up his body. This? Chen Yuan looked at Kyle, who had fallen on the floor. But the body was nowhere to be seen. It had already seeped into the shadows. He was still alive? Chen Yuan frowned. He smashed the head, but he was still alive. At that moment, Shakina shouted. Master! He is running away. Fortunately, as the head was shattered, he couldn't hide the energy, so Shakina could sense his location. Breaking through the wall, she moved. And Chen Yuan followed her. Whoa! When they went out, there seemed to be quite a lot of cultists. They had come to see what the commotion was about. Pack! Ah! We greet Chen Ma. The cultists, who looked at Chen Yuan, bowed to him. The timing was right. So Shakina threw an energy sphere at the members. Shoo! Bang! TCH! She kept firing spheres in succession at the members. The people who were startled by her axe moved away. However, the black shadow, which protruded from the floor like tentacles, immediately attacked around 30 cultists. Swash! What is this? Tentacle? Clang! The bewildered cultists pulled out their weapons and raised sword energy to cut it off. But it was like cutting a shadow. However, the shadow tentacles soon gathered and aimed for the gaps in the weapons. Pack! Yuk! The body of a person touched by the shadow was engulfed fully this time. As if the entire body was eaten by shadow. Avoid! Everyone move! Surprised by it, they immediately moved to different places. However, the fact that it was evening made the shadows the worst ability to fight against. Demon Kyle's powers were at their peak. Rumble! The tentacles from the wide floor rose dozens of meters in length, and tried to swallow up all the people around in an instant. Oh my! My body! Some cultists couldn't avoid being eaten by the shadow. But that wasn't the problem. Huh? Those who were eaten by the shadows turned black and rushed for Chen Yuan and Shakina. Fat! Their physical abilities were beyond human limits. Chen Yuan and Shakina were now in the air, about 3 stories high, yet the human shadows jumped up at once and attacked them. Since they were cultists, Chen Yuan avoided them, but Shakina hit them without hesitation. Puck! A shadow man hit by Shakina's kick was thrown away. However, as if not hurt, the shadow got up and jumped up again. Stubborn! Shakina created an energy sphere ready to kill. Don't kill them! At Chen Yuan's shout, she didn't fire it. Meanwhile, a black shadow fell over her. Shoo! Of course, with her phasing, it passed through her. But in that brief moment, Shakina discovered something. Drop! Drop! Drops of blood were dripping down the black shadow's face. As they were suddenly engulfed in the shadows and were being manipulated, they seemed to be shocked. Master! The members seemed to be in pain. I see that. Their concern was right. The one called Kyle was using the cultists as hostages. A mouth appeared on the face of the shadow man and said, "Cuckoo. Attack me all you want. That is if you want to kill your subordinates." At those words, Chen Yuan's eyes turned cold. Without noticing that, Kyle continued. "At night, I am invincible. I am not someone you bastard can handle." "Shakina, where is he?" Chen Yuan ignored his words and asked Shakina. And she pointed to a direction in the west. "Over there." At that, Chen Yuan swung a sword on his right hand. At that, 5 invisible swords appeared in the air, and with great speed they went to the place where she pointed. Puck! Chen Yuan frowned as he couldn't feel like he had hit something. At that moment, 6 shadow men jumped up and rushed for him. The 6 of them spoke at once. "Are you trying to kill us? You are being so annoying." "Shoo!" Chen Yuan held on to a sword he created and then lowered his palm. And the shadow humans which were floating up went flat to the ground. Thud. Thud. The shadow humans were stuck to the floor, unable to move like before. They were still humans, so internal energy worked on them. "These low-level tricks don't work on me. Demon." At Chen Yuan's words, a mouth formed in the shadows and smiled. "I see. But there seem to be 300 more humans in this place. Can you protect all of them?" Kyle spoke as if he held all the people in the Yongchen group under his control. Since he couldn't deal with Chen Yuan, he took this method. And it didn't sit well with Chen Yuan. There is no need to keep you alive." "Ah. It seems like you are misunderstanding something about who has the upper hand here. Rather, you should be concerned about your human body." At some point, the shadow had engulfed Chen Yuan's entire left arm. Since Chen Yuan was strong, the shadow couldn't move like usual. "Shoo! At the moment I completely have control of you, I'll kill all your people right in front of you." The shadow was slowly moving to Chen Yuan's shoulder when it suddenly began to crack. JJJKKK. Kyle, who was hiding in the shadows, couldn't hide his shock as he saw that. The shadow was nothing more than a 2-dimensional gateway. Once sucked, there was no way out. But this was odd. "You are going to tie me with this?" Pang! The shadow completely collapsed and Chen Yuan's arm was revealed. Chen Yuan's left hand, which had a sword in it, had a dark energy rising from it. No. Did he destroy the Shadow Realm? The Shadow Realm was where he wanted to imprison Chen Yuan. But the ferocious energy from the sword destroyed it. Is he really human? It was the first time anyone escaped from the shadows. Chen Yuan smiled and said, "There are places you cannot touch." What? The place where Chen Yuan was looking at was Yongchen Group's lamps. Some of the members who escaped from the shadows had gone over to the lamps and light posts. Weak to light. Kyle's only weakness. If the shadows were limited by light, then the power of shadows cannot be used properly. Huh. So what? Do you think those street lights would protect all of them? Swash. At that moment, a thorn of shadows rose from the dark side of the ground and hit all the street lights. In the meantime, the other cult members were rushing out of the buildings. As the battle kept happening, more people began to come. "If I can't kill you, then I will kill everyone under you first." Rumble. In a radius of 10 meters, shadow tentacles jumped out reaching for the people who were coming out. It was then Chen Yuan stretched out his hand. "Know us? Weak." An unbelievable thing happened. Thousands of swords and flame filled the entire air around them. This is the sky. The cult members were shocked at what they were seeing. The sight of the Yongchen group was as bright as day thanks to the flame chi swords. This, insane. Kyle, who looked up from the shadows, was at a loss of words. Due to the blazing swords, it became difficult to use shadows. He never imagined that this would be possible. It was then. That's where you are. Puck. Something came in, grabbed him by the neck and pulled him out. Grab. Kyle, who was pulled out, was wide-eyed. How can a human have such power? Creepy. The moment his eyes met Chen Yuan's, his face turned pale. A great void that seemed to destroy everything was imprisoning him. Kyle, who lost confidence, lost his will to battle. This one isn't someone I can handle. Hurriedly, he shouted. I surrender. I, Count Kyle, will swear allegiance to you, a great warrior, so spare my life. Puck. Before he could even finish, Chen Yuan's head dug into Kyle's chest. Quack. Thud. 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 Chen Yuan held on to the core. Kyle's eyes were drenched in fear as he saw that his life source was captured. Please have mercy on me. Mercy? If you wanted that, you shouldn't have provoked me. And creepy. Suddenly, a gloomy energy erupted around. And a blue light appeared in Chen Yuan's eyes. What is this? Chen Yuan spoke to Kyle, who was bewildered. Do I really need to save and use a guy like you? Chapter 116. Shadow Assassin. Part 3. Chen Yuan used ghost energy. A weird and demonic eerie energy came out of his wrist guard, which was on his right wrist, and entered Kyle's core. Kyle's body trembled at the gloomy energy which entered his body. Huh? However, it was strange. Naturally, Chen Yuan thought that the skin would change and lose its vitality. But nothing like that happened to Kyle. What? Unlike the human body, Kyle, a demon, had no vitality inside his body. Without blood and vitality, the body was filled with something called demonic energy, which was different from vitality. Unique. As the demon didn't lose its body or erode, there was no way to turn it into a ghost. And then, something unexpected happened. Whoa! Once again, the sky demon sword came out and resonated. Kyle's core, which he had turned into liquid, was soon absorbed into the sword. Chen Yuan pulled out the hand. Whoa! As the sky demon sword resonated, the core trembled. Then it turned into a black liquid entirely and entered the sword. Shoo! At the same time, something entered into Chen Yuan's mind. Chen Yuan's eyes turned black and his body went stiff. The father and son, Chen Wujin and Chen Yujiang, who arrived then, went closer. Ancestor? What happened? Chen Yujiang asked Shekina, who was guarding Chen Yuan. However, she shook her head as if to say she knew nothing. Who is this person, and what was he doing here? Chen Wujin went close to Kyle in front of Chen Yuan, and asked with a puzzled expression. He gently touched him with his hand. Shoo! Huh! Black smoke suddenly rose from his body and quickly collapsed down into ashes. The body is. Chen Wujin and Chen Yujiang couldn't hide their shock. Only after hearing from Shekina did they know that Kyle wasn't a human but something from the gate. Huh! Special entity. They couldn't help but be shocked that a special entity, which they all heard about only in rumors, had infiltrated the Yongchen group. Not too long after that, Chen Yuan's eyes were back to normal. Chen Yujiang, who sensed the change in Chen Yuan, asked, Ancestor, are you alright? Despite his question, Chen Yuan looked at the sky demon sword in his hand, unable to understand. What are you? Sky demon sword. From what he knew, the sword was made from a meteorite that fell from the sky. But more, he wanted to know more about the sword. Chen Yuan reached out to somewhere, and the black cold iron wrist guard resonated. SHHHH. At that moment, shadows rose like thorns from the dark places. "Master, that ability is?" Shakina asked with trembling eyes. It was the ability to control shadows. Surprisingly, Chen Yuan was now able to use the powers of Kyle. At the same time, a gorgeous office room on the top floor of a tall building in Guangzhou. There was a person biting a cigar while looking outside the window of the dark office. The night view was clear. A silver-haired woman appeared inside with a glass of red wine in her hands. The woman offered the wine glass to the other person and gently hugged him from the back, eyes full of awe rather than affection for the supposed lover. It was then. "Grab." The wine glass was shattered. Surprised, the silver-haired woman asked, "What is it?" "My king." At her question, the black form muttered in an angry voice, "Kyle is dead." "Sorry?" The silver-haired woman couldn't understand it. "Kyle is dead? Did the clan send someone above Marquis?" No one could kill Kyle unless they were from the clan and with a higher title. And among humans, she was certain that there was no one who could touch Kyle. If there had to be one, then only the ones they raised could do this. No. Then who the hell could? In response to her, the black form spat out a name. Chen Musong. Another name for Chen Yuan. Surprisingly, as soon as Kyle's body fell, the black form noticed the death. He had no idea how this happened. The silver-haired woman frowned, and then opened her mouth. "I can't believe it. How could humans touch our clan?" Well, the unbelievable thing happened. The black form seemed to have already accepted it. But despite that, the anger didn't subside. Whoa! A terrifying amount of huge demonic energy was rising from the body. The silver-haired woman, gently stroking his back, said, "My king. Then let me go. I will bring the man over here." "You will bring the man?" "Yes. I will deal with it so that my king doesn't feel like this anymore." As the black form seemed to think, she pushed her huge breasts onto his back and spoke in a whisper. "You know my abilities better than anyone." "Shoo," she murmured as she gently ran her fingers across the collarbone of the black form. Because human beings don't mind dying for pleasure and cannot live without it. A strange greed was apparent in her eyes as she said that. The man turned around and grabbed her neck. "Grab. Quack. Clan members died and you want to satisfy your own greed?" A red light flickered in the eyes. As if terrified, the silver-haired woman withdrew and trembled. Looking at that, the black form smiled and said, "Fine. If you can deal with him, I will give you 4 years to handle your powers." Once the permission fell, the silver-haired woman who had been trembling in fear till a moment ago, looked confident now. 3 days after that, Chen Yuan closed his eyes, as if meditating, and organized the shadow ability in his mind. This ability he got was more useful than expected. Starting with restraining the opponents through shadows, to making them move as he desired, it could also be used as weapons. And the most useful ability was the Shadow Realm. It is as if it is a different space. Once entered, it would be like a two-dimensional space. The whole space is dark, but infinitely spacious. The advantage of the place was that it could be used as a pocket. He could put and pull things out. Interesting ability. Chen Yuan spoke as if he liked it, since it was a skill that could be used in various ways. A lot of things could be stored there. In addition, if there is something he wants to hide, keeping them inside the Shadow Realm is easier. What is its principle? Nato couldn't figure it out either. Probably because they were foreign powers different from the ones on Earth. Chen Yuan can enter the Shadow Realm, and once he entered, he could move at a higher speed. Body turns a light as a feather. In the Shadow Realm, it was possible to move 2 to 3 times faster than in the original world. There was no layer of air obstructing him. Originally, Chen Yuan himself was very fast, but in the shadow realm, he was even quicker. Unfortunately, all this was possible only in darkness. Still, this seemed enough. Moving between places could be done secretly with this power in the darkness. And he was quite satisfied. Rumble. Lord. It seems to have stopped. He heard Hubong's voice. When Chen Yuan opened his eyes, a voice of guidance from the underground train station came out. This train stops in Qingdao. Passengers moving from Qingdao to another area will need to head to another station. The train arrived in Qingdao, a port city in the southern part of Shandong province. As it was close to the sea, there were many beautiful things to see. Laoshan was a tourist place. Why did Chen Yuan come here? It happened a few days ago. You mean from the information agency? Chen Yuan asked Director Huan Miang'o, the head of the information agency. Okay. So are clans like the Lower District Clan still active? Lower District Clan. A representative information gathering organization, 7 of the forces of evil in Chen Yuan time. A group of thieves, storekeepers, courtesans, and brothel women, any place fit to gather information, was filled with them. Not there? From what I know, there are several such groups. Several? Black Athena and Club PAB. But I know that they are dangerous places. Dangerous? I heard that they don't only sell information, but are also involved in horrible things, like drug smuggling. Gay-related stuff or drug smuggling was considered to be illegal. And it wasn't right to be tied to them as they were such a crooked group. Lord Chen Ma. It would be better to find the information needed from our information. If possible, sure. What information do you need? MS Group. The information Chen Yuan wanted was the one related to MS Group. The group disbanded over 15 years ago and was now a ghost organization. If they were doing business with Chen Wuqian, then there must be a way to find them. And there was one reason why Chen Yuan was looking for MS Group. It was Becky. Now he turned his attention to Becky because the merger went smoothly and he also saved Lord Chen Wujin. He also built a nice relationship with the Ministry of National Defense. If it is the MS Group, there may be some clues out there, but we reached a dead end. It was a shameful story. They tried to track MS Group several times under Chen Yuan's instructions, but couldn't find any traces. Which of the two is closer? Black Athena. They have a large liquor business in Qingdao.